Hello! This is part one of a new series of screencasts I'm going to do around building a Gutenberg block. My plan is to gear this series for a beginning developer, maybe one who's not familiar with WordPress or maybe not familiar with working with JavaScript and Node environment, and so kind of aim at that level and see how it goes. So start off, this first cast is going to be about setting up a development environment and getting yourself all situated to start doing WordPress development. So first off, we'll need a WordPress site, we'll need a code editor, and we'll need some development tools for building the code. So for setting up a WordPress site, I recommend using Local by Flywheel. Local is a tool that Flywheel created and allows you to download an application and create WordPress websites, and it bundles up all of the Apache and the MySQL and all the pieces that you might need. So if you go to localbyflywheel.com, or if you search for Local Flywheel, you'll find the page. Download and install it. Run it. I've already installed mine. And when you run it, it will prompt you to create a new site. For the site, I'm just going to call it WP Test. The username and password does not matter. I just use admin and password, just literally password, because it's just going to be local and it doesn't have to be secure. We're not putting anything in there all that interesting. And so once you create the site, it will provision the database and the servers. You may need to log in with your administrator password so it can update the host file and get everything set up. But then once that's done, you have a site created. You can click View Site, and we have a full WordPress site. The domain updates your host file, which is why it asks for a password. And so this just goes to my local computer here. So once that's set up, we want to know it's installed here. We want to be able to go, we need to know where the plugins directory is. So for creating a Gutenberg block, they're created as plugins. And so if we look in there, it's going to be under app, public, and then in here is our standard kind of WordPress site. And then the plugins is under content plugins. So this is going to be the kind of working directory we will be in. When we get to creating a plugin, we're created inside of there. So with that, we have our WordPress site set up, so we can cross that one off. So next up, code editor is pretty straightforward. You can use any code editor you wish. Visual Studio Code is kind of becoming the common kind of de facto standard. It's available for Windows, Mac, Linux. I run on Linux, but it doesn't really matter. So you can go to Visual Studio Code. If you search for Visual Studio Code or code.visualstudio.com, download that and install. And I already have that installed here. And then inside of there, you can open up the folder we were just at, public content. I think I was setting up my demo and I had it already there. So just go to that same directory, and that's where we'll end up working out of this directory and do all of our work there. And then lastly is development tools. Let's cross this one off. Always feels good to cross things off a list. For development tools, for building Gutenberg blocks, it helps to be able to build them using Node. Node is it's a library that allows you to compile JavaScript written outside of the browser, and you can kind of compile it down. So we'll write, all of the Gutenberg blocks are mostly in JavaScript. Usually the JavaScript's written in a format that's not necessarily compatible for the browser, so we'll use a tool, a Node tool, to compile that to a compatible version. If you go to nodejs.org, there's downloads for all platforms there. I'd recommend just getting the LTS version. It stands for long-term support. You can also download and install using, if you use a package manager on Mac, Homebrew is a good package manager. For if you're using Mac and brew install node npm. I don't use a Mac. If you're using Windows, you can use Chocolatey as a package manager. So you can do a Choco install Node.js and probably a Choco install npm. You can download them straight from here. If you're using Linux or something along those lines, you can do an apt install Node.js and npm. The important part is just getting them installed and available on the command line. And most of the tools we install will set the path so it's already available. So you want to be able to test the install. You can type in your terminal node-v or npm-v. So with that, we'll have all the tools and stuff in place. I'll add some links. I'm going to create some show notes, and so I'll add some links on getting set up and getting configured. But the 3 pieces: you'll need a WordPress site and know where that plugins directory is. You'll need a code editor of some sort. You can use anything you wish. It's nice to have the Visual Studio Code's nice. It does nice color syntax and various parts. And you'll need Node and npm installed for building a block. So thanks a lot, and see you on the next one.